Okay, hello. This is the route walkthrough for the Gargrave to Horton in Ribblesdale weekend. And I'm so excited to tell you about this because this is one of my favourite walking weekends ever. It is partly based on the Pennine Way, which is really close to my heart because I did it over about 5 years in stages, and it was just such a big part of my life. And this was actually the first proper walk that I did along the Pennine Way, and I loved it so much. I just love walking in Yorkshire in general because it's so beautiful, and I love that kind of dry stone wall, sheep, moorland, fells, and pretty valleys that they have there. Dales, that's the one, isn't it? Dales, Yorkshire Dales. I just love all of that. I think it's beautiful. It's a lovely place, and this is such a great walk. It's a 3 day walk. You can do just 2 days, but I really recommend that you do three in this occasion because the third day is going to be walking two of the three Yorkshire peaks, which are the major Yorkshire peaks in the area. So it's really nice to do those, and you'll walk the third one on the second day anyway. So you'll have completed all of them by the time the weekend is through. So let's get started. So you're going to be going to Gargrave Station in the morning. So your whole morning is basically travelling to Gargrave Station. And round about 1:30 you're going to get here. So you're probably going to be having a sandwich on the train. And you're going to be walking to Malham in the afternoon. So this is quite an unusual way to start off, but it's just because it's a little bit too long to travel there in an evening. And this way, the way that the route works out, it's just really nice because you can walk in the afternoon. So it works out really well. So you come out of the station, turn left, you come down this road into Gargrave Village, and you follow this road through. In the PDF I mention a cafe here, which is really nice if you want to stop off for some provisions or a cake or a cup of tea or something. So you cross the River Aire and then you cross the Leeds and Liverpool Canal and you follow up the road. So you're following the Pennine Way all the way to Malham today. And as you know, there's lots of reasons why I recommend following trails, and part of the reason is because they're generally well signposted, the route is good, and it's a lot easier to follow. If you know that you're just following the Pennine Way for almost all of the day, it's a lot easier than, turn left in the second field and on some random paths that I'd have to explain to you. But this is great. It takes you through some lovely places as well. So okay, so you're coming up this road and you need to look off a little turn off on the right, and you're coming through some farm fields. And I actually got lost in the second field, I remember, because I think we went down here and then ended up walking up here, up that hill there. But it comes off diagonally this way, around this plantation. And almost immediately as you round the top of this hill, you can see in front of you the bigger hills of Yorkshire ahead of you, which you're walking towards in Malham, which is a really, really nice thing to see. But this section, as I say, is through farm fields. There's lots of sheep there, and it's very, very quiet. Very quiet. When I did it, we didn't see anyone at all. Yeah, we didn't see anyone. I think I maybe saw one farmer, and that was it. It comes up to join this road, but it doesn't come onto the road. It crosses the river here, and then you're following the River Aire all the way to Malham. So once you're there, it's really easy. And the first major village that you come to is Ayrton, which is very small, but there is a little village green with a picnic bench that you can go and sit on if you like. But as far as I'm aware, there are no cafes or anything, so it's just literally a village. There's a telephone there if you need it, so you can have a little break on the bench, but otherwise just carry on along the river. So as you can see, the route just follows the river, crosses roads occasionally. Here the route comes up here and along the top, but you can actually just carry on following the river if you prefer. It's totally up to you. Doesn't really make much difference because it's only a short section. And here we are at Malham. So that is about 6 miles, 11 kilometres. So you should arrive here in plenty of time to get booked into your accommodation and have some food and so on. So in the evening, if you've got time, what I recommend is you go and explore the famous Goredale Scar and Janet's Foss. So I'm going to run through that now. To do that, you would come back down the Pennine Way, and then you come off along this route here. And it's a very, very popular little walk to do, so it's quite well signposted again. And here you have, round about here, you have Janet's Foss. And I'm not sure why the little star is there, because it's definitely here because it's a little waterfall. It's a little small waterfall, but I believe there are some legends and fairy stories around the area. But the most impressive thing is Goredale Scar, which is just up here. So you come onto the road and you follow this path up here, and it's a really spectacular valley with very, very steep cliffs, and then the Goredale Beck is coming down over this rocky section, which you can actually scramble up, and it's quite a well-known challenge to just scramble up it. I think it is easier than it looks, and apparently I did it when I was a small child, but my dad was carrying me on his back apparently, and the dog did it as well. So it's not too hard, but it does look quite intimidating when you get right up to the bottom, because you're basically climbing up a waterfall. But because it's going to be the evening, what I suggest is that you come back. Well, it's up to you, but you can come back this way once you've had a look, and then you walk back to Malham along this nice path here. So you can just do a little circle, come to the road, and then come back down, and then leave Malham Cove for your next day. So your next day, you're going to be following the Pennine Way again. You're going to be walking to Horton in Ribblesdale, and it's 14 miles or 23 kilometres. So follow the road up out of the village, and then turn off right and follow it to Malham Cove, which is another extremely beautiful beauty spot and famous viewpoint. At the top of the cove, you're going to go. Okay, so what you should do first is you should just come to the bottom of the cove and have a look from the bottom, and then come back to the Pennine Way and come up these steep steps up onto the top, where you get this limestone pavement, which is like a load of limestone stepping stones with worn away gaps between them. It's really beautiful, and you can stand on top and see a lovely view back into Malhamdale. And there's loads of geological features around this area, so if you're into geology, this is the place to be. You'll often see groups of school children visiting the area with their geology teachers. That is a bit of a cliche of the area, but you can see why. And then you head north along Watlows Valley, which is a limestone valley. And then you come this way to Water Sinks, which is where the river comes under the ground. Cross the road, and you're heading towards Malham Tarn, which is a nature reserve. And you follow the path around Malham Tarn. Can't really get lost here, it's alright. Follow it round past Malham Tarn House, and then at this point you follow the Pennine Way up this way. So here you're going to be leaving almost all of the people behind, because people come to Malham Tarn and they park up and then they have a little stroll around, but you're going to be heading off now into the more wild country, and it's quite remote. You're going to be crossing over a fell to get to the other side, so there'll be less people around. So you're going through farm fields again, but they are more rugged than the previous day, and you're following dry stone walls along. Eventually you come down, you cross this minor road and you head up to Tennant Gill Farm, and then you're coming up the hill. So you need to climb this hill first, which is called, what's it called? I've forgotten. Fountains Fell, that's the one. It's a fairly gentle climb, but you are in really wild countryside now. You're going up through the heather and the bracken and the little peaty pools and all of that. And eventually you come to the top where there are some cairns, and from the top you can then see Pen y Ghent, which is what you will climb later on, and that is one of the 3 peaks of the Yorkshire Dales, and you might even be able to see Whernside and Ingleborough as well, which is the other 2. So you come down, join up with the road and follow the road, at Dalehead Farm, you come off the road and you follow it this way. It actually takes quite a roundabout route to get to Pen-y-ghent because you're going in a big loop and you're approaching it so gradually. And you come up here, and there you are at Pen-y-ghent. Now let me just check, at this point is where you can take a shortcut if you don't want to climb Pen-y-ghent. That's it. So at this point, just before, you can come off down this path and take a shortcut into Horton in Ribblesdale. But otherwise, you carry on up Pen-y-ghent. So it is a little tiny bit scrambly, but only a really small bit. It's very easy to do. It probably looks worse than it is. Just keep going up. Follow there's a wall at the top that takes you to the trig point at the top. And before you know it, you'll be up there. It's as you'll be able to see, it's such an iconic shape. It's very distinctive. It's like the brow of a ship. It's very pointy on this section, and it's a very popular walk to do. So then you follow the Pennine Way down here, down this way to the west, and then at this point, don't forget to go and have a look at Hull Pot, which is one of the big sort of gaping chasms into the earth that you'll find a lot around this area, but that is one of the major ones, Hull Pot. But that you just have to double back and come back to this crossroads. But it's quite easy to forget that because I managed to forget that when I was because you're coming to the end of a long day, so you might forget. So then you come down the Pennine Way, down a walled lane, all the way down to Horton in Ribblesdale, and you pass Horton Scar, which is like a miniature version of Malham Cove, and then eventually you get to Horton in Ribblesdale. Hooray! So one of the pubs is here and one of the pubs is here, and I guess that's the New Inn, and I've forgotten what the other one's called actually. But here there is a famous cafe called the Pen-y-ghent Cafe, which is a good walkers cafe. You can get all sorts of food, refreshments, and they have Pennine Way signing in books there going back to when it first opened, so anyone who walked the Pennine Way would sign in. Horton in Ribblesdale is really small, and I think the only places to eat are the pubs. But there are two of them, so at least you've got some choice. And there's a cafe as well, but I mean in the evening, the only places to eat are the pubs. Don't quote me on it, but I think that's right. And here's the train station. Right, so that's where the train station is if you're going back, but if you are having the third day, you're going to have to get all your luggage together, and you're going to be climbing the two remaining fells. So you climbed Pen-y-ghent yesterday. On the third day, you're going to be now climbing Ingleborough and Whernside. So you head up to the station, you cross over, and you come this way. So it is a popular challenge in the area to walk all three fells in one day, but you're just going to be doing two, so not to worry. You carry on up this way, roughly in the same direction, and as you're going along here, you don't actually see the summit of Ingleborough. You actually see a false summit, so eventually it will come into view, but you're basically heading in this direction, the same direction almost all the way along. So you're following this route. It's a very gradual climb, so it's quite easy, but it just takes a while. Just keep going up. Comes along there, and there we are, there's Ingleborough. So this bit is the steepest section. It's not very hard. You come onto the top, and the top is like a flat plateau, and there's a trig point at the top with a seated shelter around, so you can have a sit down and look out at the view if you're lucky enough to see a view, which hopefully you will be. And it can be very windy up there because it's quite exposed. So once you finish there, you come back down, and then you come down steeply to the north here, which is a very, very steep path, but it's quite a good path. Down, and then you're heading towards Whernside, so you will be able to see Whernside ahead of you. Round about here is a nice place to sit and have a picnic or a sandwich, because there's lots of little limestone rocks to sit on, and it's very pretty. Okay, so let me just check where we're heading to now. Just going to need to zoom out a little bit. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So you come down to the road and you're heading along this road here and up this minor road here and there, and then you're going to come up this path here. So I'm going to zoom back in a bit. This is quite a steep section, as you can see. So it's quite a bit of a slog. It's probably the hardest climb of the day. But once you're up to this point, you'll be able to see it's a much more gradual climb up there. And Whernside, there you are. Whernside is like a sort of a whaleback style hill, where it's a gradual up and a gradual down. So you go over the top of Whernside, and from here you can see Ribblehead Viaduct, which you will come past later on, which is a very dramatic sight and such a picturesque viewpoint. And looking to the east, you'll see where the Pennine Way carries on up to Hawes and Thwaite. And so you follow the path down here and curving back round again, so you're coming back down in a kind of back to the direction of Horton in Ribblesdale. You come back here and you cross the railway line and you basically follow it down to the Ribblehead Viaduct, and you'll quite often see lots of train spotters here on these banks looking out for the trains coming over the viaduct, because it is such a classic viewpoint, especially when they've got steam trains running on the Settle to Carlisle Railway. Oh, here we are. Here's the Ribblehead Viaduct. So it's a lovely viewpoint. It's quite a popular place to visit. There'll be a lot of people around here. And yeah, just enjoy the view. So follow the path up to a road when you're done, and there's a pub here, which is the Ribblehead Inn, Station Inn, I think. Anyway, there's only one pub, so you can't miss it. And here is the station. So if you have time, you can wait in the pub, as long as you leave enough time to walk a few minutes walk to the station. Or if not, just go to the station, and there you go, and you can go back to London. Or if you're staying another night in Horton and Ribblesdale, it's the next stop down. So yeah, this will be such a brilliant weekend. I hope you enjoy it.